Good morning. So I'm going to show you today how to make flower cordial. So at the moment in May, or June I should say, we've got lots of elderflower growing in bushes around the place in lots of hedgerows and parks and things like that. So what I do is I go out and I pick them and then I make a nice elderflower cordial, which you can have as a refreshing drink throughout the year, diluted with either sparkling or still water and some ice. Or when I make my fermented water kefir, I often add, a tablespoon into a whole bottle to make an elderflower kefir. And that's what the kids love in the morning for their fermented drink. So first of all, what does it look like? I picked these about 2 days ago, so they're kind of slightly wilted at this stage. But you have, let me find a good one. Okay, so we have lots of these little white flowers growing from one stem. They have quite a distinctive smell. It's almost like a BO smell, a body odor smell, but they are quite distinctive. And then when you look at the leaves, which again, this one's a bit wilted, you've got 5 leaves coming off, 5 little leaflets coming off one stem. So that's how you know that you've got the right flower. You're looking for them, ideally all the flowers to be out. So here there's a couple of little buds that haven't blossomed yet. So a lot of what I did was I picked this last Sunday and I'll go off again this week and I'll pick more and I'll make another batch as they mature. It depends on the flowers, whether they're facing the sun, etc., as to when they're ripe. So we have about 50 heads of the elderflowers here, and there's a link to the recipe. What I did was I got the sugar. So I got 2 kilograms of sugar, just a plain white sugar, and I dissolved it in some water. So there's an awful lot of sugar in this, but I'll show you at the end how much you use per portion. So we need to dissolve the citric acid in it. So citric acid is something you'll get in a chemist. There's a container of it there, and this is what's going to help preserve it, because if we don't put the citric acid in, it's likely to get some bacteria in it. So I keep mine for over a year. So first of all, we want to dissolve the citric acid in the sugar water that we have. Then we want to get our unwaxed, the organic lemons, and we are going to take some of the peel off them. Now I'm using a large saucepan, but a large bowl is fine. Obviously you need a saucepan to dissolve the sugar, but this is just one of the largest containers that I have. It's not going back on the heat. So it's a nice large container to house it all, is what you like. So with the elderflower, what you do is you take them, and ideally you want to pick them when there hasn't been rain for about 2 days. So you got lots of pollen and flavour on them. And then you take each of the heads, and I go out into the garden and I tap them a couple of times just to get rid of some little insects that might be on it. If you find there's lots of insects on it, what you could do is you could cover your container with cling wrap for maybe 5-6 hours, and all the little insects will come up to the top. And then you can get rid of them, and then you can start all over again. So we have our lemon rind there, and then we're going to slice our lemons and put them in on top. Really simple recipe, but it just takes a little bit of time to plan the picking of the elderflowers and then the making it up this way. Now we are going to put the sugar syrup and the citric acid in on top. Making sure that citric acid is dissolved. If you put it in while the water is still hot, it's easiest for it to dissolve. Okay, and then we're going to push this down. Probably have more than 50 heads here, but we're going to push it all down so that it's underneath the liquid. You want to get all the flavour out of the flowers and into this syrupy liquid. Okay, so then it's as simple as that. You then leave that for about 24 hours So I just pop a lid on it and leave it in the utility room, the side of the kitchen, for about 24 hours. I often will come back in and just squish it all down again to make sure that it's under the liquid. So then when you're ready to go, you simply get a colander like this and you pour all of your mixture in. Okay, so now you're going to have lots of the flowers and the lemon, etc. into this. It does become a sticky mess, so just be prepared. So you drain it all into this. Then when you have your liquid, which will have some little flowers and things in it, I'm then going to strain it. So I put it into one of these pop top bottles. But we need to sterilize it because we don't want any, bacteria to come with all of the high sugar content over the year. So what I do is I take off the pop top and I pop my bottle on its side into the oven at 170 degrees for about 15 minutes. And then when it's ready, let them cool a little bit, because if you put the cold liquid into the really hot bottles, it's just going to crack. So let it cool a little bit and then we're going to pour it into this. So now we want to strain out any of the remaining flowers and bits and pieces. So what I would do is I would get a colander or a sieve. You can use either a sheet of muslin, which you can get from a fabric shop, or I actually find these sheets of the J cloth is much better because it gets all really sticky and at the end you just want to throw it away rather than washing out all of the muslin. So you just open it up, and often I will use a double layer of the J cloth, and then you hold it above your bottle here and you pour your cordial in. Now if you see there's lots of little bits still floating in it, you can do this into another clean container first of all and then do it this way. So then you have your strained elderflower cordial, put your pop top bottle on, your lid on, and that will store at room temperature. I just keep them in the shed, to be honest, for a year or more. Once the bottle's opened, you keep it in the fridge. So this was one of the ones from last year's batch, and I just wanted to show you how much I would put in for a serving. So imagine I have a glass this size. I would pour in about that much. Okay, so that's about a tablespoon. So I pour that in, I will put some ice and then some still water or some sparkling water into it, and that's a really nice refreshing drink. I will pour probably a similar amount into the full bottle when I'm making my water kefir. And the other way that you can use it is to pour it over some fruit. So if you have, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, a nice fruit bowl, you can drizzle that over it, and that works really well. So I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, please let me know. And I also have a members Facebook group, so if you've been to my demos and you want to join that group, it's where people can share photos and support each other, and I can help answer questions with any challenges that you might be having. So thanks a million for listening, and the recipe is on the website fionasfoodforlife.ie.